Jack.
Levi.
The Book Club from Hell.
For this episode, I'm really pleased to welcome on Emshen, one of our listeners, who I put out the call for books and guests to do episodes on, because I do really like episodes on completely frivolous books. I was saying before recording, it is actually easier to find someone who will read and talk about the Uniqueness property by Max Stirner than it is to find someone who's going to talk about something like Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn by William Vanstone. So I'm very grateful to you, Emshen, for both suggesting this book and then reading it and coming on to talk about it. Yeah, thanks for coming on. If there's anything of yours you want to talk about, you want to shill, go for it. And if not, we can get on to this book of, what do you call it? Like a choose your own adventure love letter to Lovecraft and other weird fiction, amateur occultism. It's like an upgraded F. Gardner.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't really have anything specific to promote, so I'm glad to hop right in.
Yeah, so you're just all about spreading the word of William Vanstone.
That's it.
Possibly Maddie Silver, depending on... and no, we'll get into that later. So, I mean, Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, how did you come across this book in the first place? Like, what made you suggest it?
Yeah, so I live in kind of a medium-sized, sort of very working-class, grungy city, and we have a big art festival every year. And, so, they have some corners where people can just set up, first come, first serve, and do whatever, hawk their art, do tarot readings. There was a guy who was like doing typistry this year. And I was walking by there probably like 10 p.m., a few beers in, and lo and behold, I see a guy sitting there doing tarot readings wearing like a Sex Pistols t-shirt and like a generic wizard hat. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta get a reading from this guy. I'm quite into tarot. It's definitely an interest of mine. So I sit down, and he has this bizarre deck that he tells me he developed himself.
Yeah. I saw that for sale on the Suncross Publications website. 3 different versions. One of them's $90.
Yeah, and I think that's the version he had. It was the holographic version, which, by the way, has increased in price since last year. He's trying to recoup his costs. Yeah, that's it.
I wonder if he actually is just setting it to index and is like ticking up the price every year to keep up.
I could believe it. I do know from when I talked to him last year, he has some bills coming due, so maybe he's just trying to find whatever means he can. But yeah, the guy did tarot reading for me with he created his own arcana even. Like it's quite strange, but I was a little bit impressed at least because there was some level of research that went into it, obviously. And I saw he had an advertisement for his website there. So I checked it out when I got home, and lo and behold, I see this book with an absolutely insane cover and
the cover is Chef's Kiss. Moi, beautiful.
Yeah. So I knew I had to read this, and the more I read on the website, I'm like, this will be perfect for the show.
It really was. This is in the tradition of Moon People, The Eye of Argon. Those kind of books by people who just love a particular genre. And then maybe other things around it. Like this guy also loves occultism, or at least aspects of it, and has used this book also as a vehicle to lore dump you with aspects of occultism. But I do have a real soft spot for people who go out and write books in a particular style because they really like it. Sometimes it's an absolute train wreck. Sometimes you get something really special where a person's sheer passion for science fiction or weird fiction or whatever it might be animates something that is formally very, very wonky and makes it into something, that I might not call good, but is very compelling. And there are aspects of this which are, I guess, such odd authorial choices, but are oddly compelling. I mean, we'll get into the specifics, like how he always writes out phonetically, like the Québécois accent in English, just for every character who's a French speaker. Yes. Had you read this before we decided to do an episode on it? Or were you,
No, so I skimmed the first page, and I'm like, I think, to be honest, the first couple of pages are probably my favorite part as well. So maybe it gave me higher hopes than I might have had by the end. But no, other than skimming it and downloading it and seeing the incredible inclusions with the download, I hadn't read anything.
Yeah. It's a complete package.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right to point that out. So when you get this book, or this Choose Your Own Adventure book, I mean, I keep calling it a book. It's an HTML file that simulates the act of reading one of those Choose Your Own Adventure books, where you get to the bottom of a chapter and it says, turn to this page if you choose this, turn to this page if you choose that. And I think there are 13 choices in this, which is significant. Because it's he was like a step beyond the 12 signs of the zodiac into
that's right
That's mastery of time or something. So it is symbolic, the number of decisions the reader has to make in this. But anyway, so you get your HTML file, which is Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn. You also get a crossword and a word find, which he says, okay, so this is maybe, like, I get, though, this is criticism. So he got my hopes up because he does say at some point in this book that there are secrets to be found in the crossword and word find. But they're really, I don't know where they are. Like, I did the crossword. And, I found a few words in the word finder. And it really is, it will be like, I can't remember the exact clue, but it'll be like, the Son of God, and you write in Jesus. And here we go. Now, I'll open up the crossword and read out some of the clues. And, so a cross, 5 across, religious symbol for Christianity. 6 across, if time is not linear. So, I did like some of them because they are just, they're quite vague clues. I mean, you know what he's getting at if you've read the book.
Yes.
7, the original Grim Reaper. 8, a follower of Christ. You got Ouroboros as well everywhere. Maybe that's why I was thinking of F. Gardner.
Aren't they the same as the word search words? If I'm not mistaken, pretty much all of them are. I think
that might be the case, because the word search, you're right. Because I just flicked through the word search and saw, like, oh yeah, there are a few words there, and then sat down and did the crossword as someone taking a podcast seriously would do. I didn't even flick to the second page of the word finder. He
has a solution.
The answer is there.
And it's funny because I mean, without spoiling too much, at one point he says, "Solve the crossword or the word search to get a hint." And I figured, maybe it's like when you select them all, it will be the gaps will spell something out, but they didn't.
Yeah. I was a bit disappointed to have completed the crossword and realized it was just a crossword. Anyway, this is all to say that this is more than just a book. Oh, and you get his, and this is maybe the most fun part of the entire project. He has an afterword, which is, it's not unprecedented, but this particular one is basically a post-mortem on what he thinks worked and didn't work in his book, and he's actually quite honestly self-critical. And it's combined with, he's got a list of 12 or 13 writer's tips. I think it's 13, which would make numerological significance sense in the context of Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn. Yes. That I think he took from Frank Thayer or however you say his name, the owner of Sun Cross Publications, who was one of the author's mentors. And these are very good because a lot of them are just kind of they're things you've probably come across. Like, one of them actually is show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And then things like vary paragraph lengths or let characters speak, introduce the element of danger, and so on. I doubt they're things that people haven't come across before. But what is really good is he'll offer his own commentary on each of these points. Some of them he'll say, yes, I did this. Here's a part in the text where I did this. Other ones he'll just say, yeah, I didn't do this. Like that, it's just something I did badly. I did like that aspect of it. When you take this as a unified project, as an integrated project, it's more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, he talks about the I'm trying to remember the term he uses in the afterward, but he says like the project of warding off death was like his main goal in creating the text.
Yeah, he has some quite grand reasons for writing Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, which, as opposed to someone like Dale Courtney, the author of Moon People, who just said, I did this because I like sci-fi. Before giving the full names of all of his children, which I also really liked. Thanks, Dad, for shouting me out like that in your book. But yeah, it's good for you to point that out. That this was to ward off death or the fear of death.
Yes.
Which I appreciated. Like, it's combining that, and then you put that together with some of the influences he says. And the influences were things like, I can't remember the exact name. It was like lesbian Nazi vampires.
Oh, man. And I've got a whole list, by the way, that I, like when we get a bit more into it, of like random things that he references that weren't included in the references, but are very clearly like hyper-specific references.
You mean Star Wars? It's just like it's just non-stop Star Wars references.
Oh no! But there's some Vampire the Masquerade stuff, for example.
I was gonna say, I swear, I bet this guy has played Vampire the Masquerade. Like, he just loved Bloodlines.
Yeah, we actually have a super active Vampire the Masquerade LARP scene here. I've never gone, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was part of it.
Yeah, especially the scenes in the vampire brothel really felt like not just Vampire the Masquerade, but specifically Bloodlines, like that game. You could see those like crispy early 2000s models and blurry textures as I was reading it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I also want to just shout out Suncross Publications, the publishers of this book. Because I had a look through their website, which is, I'll put it in the show notes. The website is excellent. It's a lot of information. The entire homepage is, I don't know how many words it is, but thousands of words of this guy, Frank, I'll just say Tyre, but I mean, if I'm mispronouncing his name, Thayer. Actually, no, I mean, I said I'll say Tyre. I'll probably just keep pronouncing his name differently every time, but it's basically this guy. He's at least at the time he wrote this, an emeritus professor in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communications at New Mexico State University. He's been a journalist, like a reporter, editor, advertising, PR writer. Like, he's got a long career in writing. And he walks you through how he came to write and love weird fiction, like Lovecraft, Poe, and why he's writing. And the whole time, he's just upselling you. The whole time he's like, if you buy one of my books, it's this price. If you buy two of them, it's this price. If you buy everything I've ever written, it's this price. It's 67% off what it would cost to buy everything individually. And you get my 37-page guide to how to write horror. And he's really on message. The whole time he's just hammering. He's really trying to close this deal, which I love. I just love it when when people, I mean, okay, so every author is trying to sell their work. I get irritated when you get some who pretend that they're not doing it, that they don't give a shit if people buy and read their work or not. It's like, of course you do. You're selling it. If you truly didn't care, it'd just be sitting, I don't know, like a stack of yellowed paper in your house, or just an unopened file, or a file on your computer that hasn't been modified for the past 6 years.
Yep.
I love people like Frank Tyre, who's just going all out, trying to get you not only to buy and read something of his, but everything he's ever written for, I think it was $108 or something is the price if you get everything, and I think it's 60-something% off. It's a good deal.
So it's a real bargain. It
is a bargain. And I don't know if he does the cover art for the books or not, but whoever is doing the cover art is really, really pulling their weight. I suspect it's the same person who did Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn.
Yeah, he actually credits that person in the intro, Graham Kennedy, and he has an AOL email given here. So if you, next book, you gotta reach out to this guy.
yeah. Graham Kennedy's artwork it's so good because it's that style where it's quite realistic, but it's not quite there. Like the faces are just slightly off, and so it feels so unsettling because all of the proportions are 99% of the way there, but just not quite. And of course, the objects of depiction are also wonderful. Like it'll be, a vampire babe superimposed over this like sneering guy with a pistol. They are remarkable. I also did want to say Suncross Publications, because maybe I've just read too many white nationalist books for this podcast. But when I hear Suncross, I immediately think of people of a certain persuasion.
Well, it's just like what he says in the book about the tattoo he has. That only the elect will know it's not a racist dog whistle.
I mean that's what I say to people whenever in the gym changing rooms they complain about the swastika over my heart. So it's an ancient Buddhist symbol. I mean, only true initiates know what this really means.
Exactly.
No, he does explain that the equal armed cross of the elements within a circle is an ancient symbol as powerful as the Christian cross, the swastika, the Star of David, and the Egyptian ankh. I should also say, I just thought it was a Celtic cross and thought that this was just one of those publishing houses. But it doesn't seem to be. It really doesn't seem to be. I also want to say the Suncross Publications, their mission statement is that they want to empower authors. I mean, when I say they, I'm pretty sure it's just Frank, but they make it grander. Want to empower authors to write better and to assist writers with a apostrophe S. That's a bit of a concern considering he was giving grammatical advice. Writers to be published online through outlets such as Kindle eBooks and Amazon.com. So they he did it again. We offer niche publishing services to select writers, like writer apostrophe S. He did that twice. Normally, I was going to say I'm not normally a stickler for this kind of thing, but I'm pretty sure every time it comes up, I actually do mention it. So I think I just am petty like that. But in this context, in my defense, he actually, part of his 37-page book about how to write well, specifically is about how to use grammar correctly. In which case, the two misuses of apostrophe S are a bit more bothersome.
Does he have anything in there on proofreading?
Yeah. But I did want to mention the publisher, because it's rare that a publisher has this level of personality. Of course, people can always think of the Apocalypse Confidentials, the Farthest Heavens, the Bruises, the Amphetamine Sulfates, and so on, as publishers or niche publishers with personality. But most publishers you don't really care about. Suncross is not one of them. This is full of personality. I'm not sure if they've published anyone actually apart from Frank and William Vanstone. Also, there are the 3 tarot decks which we've already mentioned. I didn't know you had witnessed in the flesh, so to speak, the the collector's edition, the holographic tarot set. But all like these sets are being sold through the Suncross Publications website. People should check them out. I do really like that one set is like the prototypes, like the shit versions. Then you've got the normal one, and then you've got the shiny ones, the shiny Pokemon cards, which he does say, and I love this upsell as well, that he only recommends the really expensive ones for people who've already bought the previous versions and are true fans. So if you want the shiny ones, you better buy the other ones first and then spend $90 on the shiny ones. I just that entrepreneurial spirit is inspiring to see.
I mean, I am almost tempted to buy it, to be honest. I've had it in my cart a couple times.
Because I don't have a tarot deck, and I've both listened to Brad Kelly of Method and Madness and formerly of Art of Darkness fame talk about tarot enough times, and had him talk to me about tarot enough times that I've considered getting a deck. And that deck was really speaking to me. I didn't even, because it does, like he says, it's only major arcana. I didn't know that he'd made up his own as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's even more special. I mean, why learn normal tarot or tarot that other people are using when I could use William Vanstone's special brew, his home brew tarot?
He had one card, when he did the reading for me, he had one card. It was called like Mr. Bugaboo or something, and it was like, he told me it was based on some children's cartoon he had seen growing up and was like traumatized by, and he described it as embodying schizophrenic energy. So there's some interesting ones.
That is excellent. That is, yeah, okay. There's a 50-50 chance that I'll drop 50 or how, Canadian or American or Australian dollars, whatever it's denominated in. I'll drop that many dollars on it sometime over the next week. Getting into what this book actually is. Actually, what did you think of this book before starting it? I'm just going to get up and open the blinds. I'm listening.
Sure. Yeah, I would say, the cover certainly grabbed me right away. I was expecting it to be a bit more in depth, I guess, with the occult elements. I definitely knew it was going to be super pulpy, but I did not expect the book to have so much sort of quirky humor, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely has the that kind of B-movie sensibility to it, but weirder. I think it's a feeling I get quite often in reading would I call this outsider art? It's outsider art if you take Moon People or F. Gardner or Jim Tice to be outsider art. So like we'll just define that all as outsider art and then say this qualifies. That oftentimes there's this strange feeling of almost insubstantiality in that you've got all of these different components. Like with Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, you've like clearly this guy loves Lovecraft. He loves Star Wars. He loves Vampire the Masquerade. He loves the Ouroboros. He loves aspects of occultism. He seems to be, I'm pretty sure there were aspects of alchemy in this as well, like as above, so below.
Yes, absolutely.
Tarot, astrology, like he really likes all of these things. And when I say insubstantiality, there's this feeling that all of these things are kind of they're drifting around each other. But they're not orbiting anything, or they don't ever coalesce into something solid. That when there are plenty of it's like, okay, Thomas Pynchon might be a good example because he just has so many points of reference, but it always coalesces despite his love of wacky songs, bizarre names, niche aspects of Americana, World War II history. Despite all of these different preoccupations, and actually the occult too, like Gravity's Rainbow is just full of tarot references and so on. Despite all of these things, it always coalesces into something that feels solid and unified, whereas Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn doesn't feel like that. It feels like pouring oil into water. Like you just get all of these, you get lots of different droplets. And one of those things, like you pointed out, and you're totally right, is the kind of wacky humor, but it doesn't quite gel with everything else like it does in really fun, schlocky B-movie stuff. It's just, if I'm being generous, it lends to this even weirder atmosphere that I do like with this kind of outsider art. But if you were to analyze this as, is this a conventionally good book or not? Like that definitely counts against it. How jarring some of the humor is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with what you're saying with the occult elements, I guess that was one of my biggest disappointments with the book to some extent was, at least the impression I got from seeing his deck and talking to him is the guy seemed, moderately knowledgeable at least about the occult. And I'm going to attribute it maybe just to his writing style and not really knowing how to integrate it well. But it like a lot of the references do end up feeling like super just kind of thrown in there for the sake of it, and it doesn't really add up to much, as you said.
This is why I referenced the illustrious F. Gardner, because he does this too. In the one book of his that I've read, and in the time since we did an episode years ago now on Call of the Crocodile, and now he's probably published 1 or 2 trillion additional novels in the Call of Horror series. But at least in Call of the Crocodile, say he just loved Ouroboros. And there was some psychiatric condition, like some sort of depersonalization disorder, that he just latched onto and would just drop every few pages. Like he would just mention it, and it wasn't attached to anything. It was just like this floating concept. It's like, well, here's Ouroboros, and I've mentioned it because I think it's cool. And then I'm just going to continue on my way. It's like a passing cloud. It doesn't interact with you. Maybe it casts light on you as it passes between you and the sun. And like that's the extent of its interaction with the reader through the story. And I did feel that way. It's not as egregious as with F. Gardner, but I did get that impression a few times, and specifically because he uses Ouroboros as well.
Yes,
and like that comes up. But yeah, I'm in less of a position than you are, I think, to analyze the occultism elements, because it's just an aspect of knowledge that I've never really delved into, despite meaning to, and a few times. It was like I said, Brad Kelly has me wanting to look into tarot more, but I just haven't.
Yeah, and Brad, in fact, was one of the people who got me into it.
Really?
I mean, I had a long time casual interest in it, but I had one deck that sort of I played around with, and he did a reading for me, and he recommended me a few books, and I've read them all since, and so I'm definitely not an expert, but I have a few thousand pages of tarot reading under me now, and a bit more experience. So,
yeah, I suspected, given how almost flippantly he referred to the occult elements, that he probably was just name dropping things rather than working them into the story. And in the afterward, I think depends how charitable I want to be, but it felt a bit like he was sort of post hoc rationalizing certain decisions he made and saying like, oh, well, I actually did this because it symbolizes or it calls out to some particular aspect of occultism. Like is it pronounced gematria?
Gematria, yes.
Gematria, yeah. The numerology that seems to be the entirety of Nick Land's career at this point. That came up. So how this is structured is, like I said earlier, it's an HTML file. And you're basically like, you read a block of text. Interspersed, I hasten to add, with some very tastefully selected JPEGs, you just have this gigantic, like, I don't know, wiki quote or A to Z quote.com like quote from Dostoevsky about selling yourself out for nothing. Or just a huge picture of Charles Manson, but the I don't know what it is exactly. Like, it's not a Flexbox or something, so it's just like it doesn't resize with the size of your browser window, but it's just way bigger than basically anyone's screen, unless you're looking at an IMAX screen. So you always just get like a quarter of the guy's head.
I want to imagine he was testing this on a TV or something. He's like, oh, looks great. I think my favorite of those images is the vampire Nicolas Cage that's just kind of there randomly.
Yeah. And then some of them just don't even load, or at least didn't load on my machine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like that's each page. You get the bottom of the page and it says, okay, you're going to make a choice. And you click a link to send you to the corresponding page based on your choice. But what he does is he says, within that link, it'll say turn to page X, turn to page 1, turn to page 19 or whatever. And it's in my notes. Why, if these are hyperlinks, is he specifying the page you turn to? And I thought, oh, maybe he's calling back to these choose your own adventure books. And that was my assumption until I got to the afterward, where he explains why he's offering seemingly random page numbers for the hyperlinks, sending you to different parts of this document. And it's so that if you add up the numbers and each choice you make, it corresponds to a particular word that is numerologically significant for one of the 4 endings that you will get in this book. I should also add that the endings, there are 4 endings. I'm pretty sure the endings only are contingent upon the final choice you make, or like the final 2 choices. It's Mass Effect 3. It's like you do whatever you want over 3 games. You just you pick one of 3 glowing stations at the end of it, and that's going to determine the fate of the galaxy. And this felt similar. And I didn't verify this. I just took his word for it that the numerology checks out. But you said you checked it, and it was just gibberish.
It was not working out. And I think part of this is because, as you mentioned, it doesn't quite work if you unless you follow the exact path that he anticipated you would. But since most of the choices are slight variations and only the last couple matter, it's you can kind of throw off the math a bit.
Yeah, the slight variations, because my first reading, I went through just making choices however I felt, which meant that I was just trying to make the stupidest choices I could. You come across this strange obelisk when you're walking around in the park high on mushrooms, and it's calling out to you with arcane energies. And I'm like, well, I'll just go home and get something to eat and go to sleep. So, I was trying to be a dickhead. That's how I play RPGs as well. So, it was in character. The thing, and then I went through again, just selecting each different possibility and seeing what the different outcomes were. And it really is, you have normally a paragraph. Every single choice will have the same bulk of chapter that'll be invariant. And then you normally have a paragraph in the beginning. It's 200 words that might be different. But you're getting railroaded to the same place. You're always going to have the battle between Benoit, the werewolf biker. Apologies to French speakers if I butcher everyone's name. I don't speak French. And Michaela, the vampire babe. And it's in some it's in the archdiocese of the town that it's set in, I think. They're trying to steal stuff from when we go through the plot, we'll get to that. But yes, you always end up at more or less the same place. I will say, though, that the endings, especially the bonus ending where Jason, the 1990s action film comic relief black man wins is it's really good.
I love that one.
The number of N-bombs per line dropped by Jason really made the book better. It's just like, it's just so jarring every time he appears. Because as a character, he's veering between lovable comic relief character and just cold-blooded murderer. At times will just sell out everyone around him so that he can get his hands on, I think they steal 10 million in 10 million in shekels he specifies.
Yes.
In I think the Jason chapter or the Jason epilogue. I also want to say that there are a lot of Sharan quotes. There are a lot of quotes from people whom I wouldn't have necessarily associated with this type of book. When I'm reading Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, I'm not in kind of the same headspace as I am when I read The Problem with Being Born. That is just another jarring aspect of this. Or, the Notes from the Underground. It's not the kind of headspace I'm in when I'm reading this.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of was a bit weird for me is he talks a lot about, especially in the afterword, he talks about the sort of existential bent to the story. And he talks about we'll get to it later, but the time loop aspect and stuff like that. And he even quotes Jung, for example, very early on. And you get a little bit of that at the very beginning, but there's nothing existential to 99% of the story.
Except you bringing that up. There's one conversation shortly before they assault the cathedral where they just start spouting off brain damaged existentialist philosophical positions to each other, which I really liked because no character up to that point had shown any inclination towards this sort of philosophizing, but then they just suddenly start pulling that out. Up to this point, you have Benoit the biker, who has been communicating in just the most hilarious French accent. And like I said earlier, it's typed out phonetically. Just this really funny French accent. It's kind of fucked up English. Using slang that maybe people in Canada really do speak like that, but a lot of the slang struck me as really weird. Just someone's idea of how drug dealers speak who hasn't even watched TV about it. It's just purely from first principles. What would a dealer in narcotics say in these sort of situations? And it really does turn into screaming, "Give me the cheddar cheese" at people when you're brandishing a pistol at them. But you've got these characters, and then there's just this moment where they go, "All right, well, we're going existentialism mode for a bit." I tripped over a copy of Nausea on my way out of the house this morning, and I feel like talking about it. Yeah. So I agree with what you said, apart from that one notable exception where it's just thrown in your face.
I was going to say, on the topic of Benoit's accent, for one, the only thing you hear in my mind is, what was his name? Jacques from Twin Peaks. That's the exact voice I had for Benoit in my head. Have you seen Twin Peaks?
I've never seen Twin Peaks, and now if I watch it, I'll be thinking of Benoit every time Jacques comes on screen.
There you go. He is a French Canadian character in the show, and I could not figure out if he's supposed to be speaking French or supposed to be speaking English with a bad French accent, because they just randomly mix English and French sort of completely willy-nilly. Yeah.
There were a bunch of moments when he breaks into French, and I couldn't be bothered running it through Google Translate, so I just there'll be quite a bit of it too. There'll be 4 lines of a language that is just nonsense to me. So I was well, I don't know what they said. I'll assume it wasn't too important, that there's not some key to the plot hiding in here. I also do actually, that reminds me of something that was very funny to have in the back of my mind, but I just don't think was capitalized on as a source for potential comedy, is the fact that the main character, William Vanstone, so he's in one of the, somewhere in Quebec, I don't know where, And he notes at the start of the story he doesn't really speak French. And he's working with a number of French speakers who are all speaking French to each other. And it's just really funny imagining that in a number of quite stressful situations, William is there and doesn't really know what's going on. Like, he doesn't really understand people. And he's speaking to everyone like a hillbilly because he doesn't speak French that well. I just wish the author leaned into that more, because that is genuinely really funny, just how clueless he would have been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, rural Quebec, as they mentioned, is like not a place where you'll find that much, high level of English mastery compared to in the cities. So, yeah.
I mean, before we run through the plot, it's sort of a high level. I do want to read the disclaimer in full. Because it just makes everything feel a bit more odd, because clearly William Vanstone or Matty Silver, I'm not sure what this guy's real name is, if he's writing under a pseudonym or not, because I do note that the author of the book and the main character are both William Vanstone. But the store listing of this book and the description is attributed to Matty Silver. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'll refer to the author as William Vanstone. But Vanstone, like, he has insight that he's written something quite odd, and like that level of insight just makes everything feel even stranger. So I just want to read the disclaimer. This story is rated R for retarded, smiley face. In all seriousness, this novel contains mature themes, coarse language, lewd sexual content, violence and other nasty stuff, not for the sensitive or faint of heart. It plunges into the depths of human evil and depravity. You have been warned, and the author assumes no liability. As an aside, I was planning on suing him, but I actually can't anymore. The primary purpose of this story is to serve as a booklet on how to write a horror story. There is an essay at the end, see index, that gives detailed theory on writing methodology, tips and tricks, but these are optional. With relevant examples from the story provided, I recommend you read the story in its entirety, then read the essay after, in a repeat reading to fully compartmentalise the writing ideas. I give credit for 11 of these writing tips to Frank Tyre, PhD, of Suncross Publications. Please visit suncrosspublications.com for more. The final 2 tips are my own. And then he gives his email for questions or comments and feedback. It's probably also worth reading that out, because it gives you a bit of an idea of this guy's writing style. There were a few points in this book where I had to reread a section a few times to quite get what was going on, because I think it's because he'll leave out full stops in places where you expect them, and you'll just have this sudden shift from one idea to the next without it really. No, it has it. Okay, his prose has an oral quality to it. If you read it out loud, then you'll probably understand it a bit better than if you just try reading it in your head. But there were still moments in this book where I don't know, like certain characters, I wasn't sure how they were communicating, or I wasn't quite sure of the time course of events. Like it was quite unclear. And then some of that is compounded by the sort of hard to follow prose.
I think the writing style basically feels like your friend kind of half drunk rambling to you a bit in parts. Like I was thinking, like, I'm like, this guy could probably be a pretty decent like DM for like D&D or something like that, because the way this is written, it does have almost a bit of that vibe. Like you're sitting around the table with him.
Yeah, it feels like someone's speaking to you from very close. It's a very conversational book. So I'm just looking over some of the quotes I've saved. So basically, okay, so the book is like you're introduced to William Vanstone, our hero. I guess you call him a hero, and he, like basically everyone in this book, is drunk and stoned all the time, just continuously out of his mind. And if he's not presently out of his mind, it's because he just woke up having blacked out and he's about to start getting high again. I do want to offer the description of Vanstone, because the author's description of Vanstone is very good. In his waking world, Vanstone was a 26-year-old beta male, very tall at about 6 foot 4 inches, lanky with long arms and legs. It was quite common to hear the remarks, "How's the weather up there?" and "Do you play basketball?" which he knew was all in conversational good fun, semicolon. However, it was similar to telling a beautiful blonde that she had nice tits and was beautiful, basically just stating the patently obvious and a sign of being a dullard. And yeah, that's who Vanstone is. We get a few examples of Vanstone's particular writing style here as well. It's quite repetitive. It's like he's got a Frank Gardner quality to him in that he will say something like, "Someone is lanky with long arms and legs." Like he'll just keep emphasizing the same. It's like the again, it's like a toned-down version of what F. Gardner will do with, the person woke up in the morning, the sun was rising, it was dawn, so the sun was crossing the horizon, the sun was in the sky, it was no longer night because the sun was up. Like that kind of thing. He just keeps saying the same information over and over again, and you feel like you're going insane. He doesn't hit that level of, I'm losing my mind that Gardner does here, but he's got a bit of it.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones of that is when he describes the dark forest hill slope pathway.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some really odd descriptions here. And it's hard to tell if is he trying to be poetic? Because there are... I mean, I've read stuff where someone will just throw a bunch of words together that don't quite grammatically gel, but they'll actually conjure up an interesting image. And whether he's trying for that, or if he was just writing stuff and he didn't proofread it, he was like, "Yeah, it works."
It feels like he honestly came back to some of this stuff and is throwing more adjectives, switch things with a thesaurus. Like at one point, he just randomly refers to his hand as a paw for seemingly no reason other than it's not the word hand.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember where I came across it. The best description of hand I ever saw was it. So corpulent meat hooks was where did I read that? I read it over 10 years ago, and I still distinctly remember someone just was looking for a way to talk about hands without referring to hands, and they referred to corpulent meat hooks. Unfortunately, there are no incredible descriptions of hands here. I don't think the descriptions of eyes either are insane, because that's often something very special. With these kind of books, is the descriptions of eyes, how one refers to eyes, is often quite inspired. But I don't think there was any description here of an eye that was just batshit insane.
There's just Benoit's eyes they talk about a bit, but it's nothing crazy. Just the fact that it's heterochromia they mention.
I also do want to note he keeps shifting between first, second, and third person through the entire book, and you learn to screen it out, but every now and then you're reminded of it, and you're just a bit disoriented. It's like, okay, who is being referred to here? But anyway, yeah, Vanstone, he's woken up, he's feeling lost, depressed. He's reading Jung. Because he's depressed, he decides to take magic mushrooms. It's like a great idea, buddy. That's gonna be a great trip. He goes for a walk, comes across an obelisk in a park, and for the time loop aspect, this obelisk is significant. I think because the book's so short, it's stuck in my mind, but I don't think it's brought up again until the very end, when he's meeting Father Time and entering the time loop. And I'll read out the choices you can make here to give people an idea of what reading this is like. I don't think it's worth reading the choices for every single choice to be made. But anyway, so he's tripping and he sees an obelisk in a park. So choice one, what do? A, Your mind is warped by drugs, so you take out a marker in your pocket and graffiti the obelisk. Turn to page 20. B. Touch and examine the obelisk. Turn to page 20. C. Take a picture of the obelisk with your smartphone to research later. Turn to page 10. You feel drowsy and decide to take a nap, leaning on the obelisk. Turn to page 6. And some of the places this goes. Okay, so the choices seem to matter a lot more earlier on in the book in terms of the amount of bonus content you get for choosing one thing versus another before you get to just those invariant parts of a chapter. By the end of the book, you're not getting many choices, and they just don't really seem to make much difference until the very end when you get the 4 endings. If you go to sleep here, Vanstone dreams of spending time with his mum and girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend, I think. I mean, she's just never mentioned again, in Vietnam, and you get an info dump of aspects of Buddhism, and they're on a theme park ride through Buddhist hell. Nietzsche and Schopenhauer's responses to Buddhism and reincarnation, and Vanstone's like 1 or 2 sentence disagreements with Schopenhauer's view of Buddhism, and so on. And then then he wakes up, and then it's like if you graffiti, if you just decide to deface the obelisk, he has a vision of, I think, French Canadians fighting British redcoats, and wakes up and feels less depressed. He's like, oh, the mushrooms worked. Interestingly, if he has the Buddhist hell dream, he doesn't feel refreshed when he wakes up. So there's probably something to that. You know, what is it about the Canadian equivalent of the Eureka Stockade? Shout out to Victorian gold miners, 19th century. Versus Buddhist hell that is therapeutically active. Yeah. And then if you take a photo of the obelisk, he has a vision of a man saying that the world is a death grinding meat mill, and then has visions of Angkor Wat. I didn't really know what to make of any of these visions. Did these mean something to you, or were they just kind of noise? Because when I read these, I actually made it a mental note of them, of like, okay, well, he's marked these images out. These are going to be important, and then they just they just didn't come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one where he has the vision of the meat grinder you mentioned, that was Father Time, so obviously that one's quite relevant for the plot. But the other ones, I mean, I feel like the Vietnam one has to be based on, he must have, I think he mentions like teaching abroad in Vietnam, right? And I feel like that must have just happened to him.
My assumption was he went there on holiday, or he was in Vietnam and thought it was cool.
There's also like some parts later where he's like pining for Asian girls, so like maybe this is why it's so depressing for him.
That's right. Yeah. Towards the end, I'm pretty sure. Is that where he's like in one of the epilogues? He meets this Australian guy in China, who's just like frothing it over Asian women.
There's also when he's at the party, which is right after this. He in one of the routes, he has Jason go off on a rant about like a very racist rant about Asian women.
That's right. Yeah. He did express great admiration for how Asian women look at a few points in this book. Anyway, he gets. When Vanstone wakes up from whatever vision has been bestowed upon him by the obelisk, whichever one you decided to choose, you get a text message from your friend and dope dealer, Eric O'Reilly, and you're invited to a party at his place at it's 888 Rue André, and I can't remember the specific significance of 888. But he points it out as a significant number in the afterword of this book. And it's like what both of us have already said with the references to the occult, how he'll just like, I don't know, someone's street number or someone's residential address will have some significant number in it, and the number, like it's significant in that it points at some established occult thing, and then it's not really elaborated on. Like it's not really apropos of anything.
I think it's just supposed to be Ouroboros, to be honest, because 8 sideways.
Oh, okay.
Infinity.
I do remember he talked about how 8-8 was Heil Hitler.
Yes.
And he was like, I included this because I just wanted to scare people, but I'm not that way inclined. I did like that he's got a bunch of references to Hitler and to like Nazi occultism in here. I think just for shock value, and then he says, it's like it doesn't really mean anything. It's just in there to make it seem more evil. Or I want to let the reader know that the evil people are evil, and therefore one of them will just have like an 88 tattoo on his shoulder or whatever. Which strikes me as quite a roundabout way to let people know that certain characters are bad. Like, Benoit's explosively violent temper is probably more of a tip-off that he's not someone you want to bring home to meet your parents than, like, any numerological tattoo he may or may not have. Anyway, I mean, some of the choices that you can make with response to this text message from Eric are kind of funny. Like, one of them is just ignore him. And that's what I chose. But no matter what you do, I think if you choose to ignore him, he just keeps messaging you, and William goes, "Oh, fine, I'll go to the party." You're railroaded there. The party is very good because okay, so Eric, he's a certified Mensa genius, super smart. He makes drugs. That's about the extent of his character. Here we meet Benoit, who is a werewolf bikie, and he's one of the more fun characters. Him and Jason are the most frankly absurd characters. I also like with Benoit being a werewolf. I think Vanstone was trying to build up tension about him being a werewolf. Have a bit of mystery about this guy. Because he will just... I think it's like you mentioning someone's hands being described as paws. I think it was Benoit. Like, he will just constantly, very unsubtly hint, just like, oh, there's something a bit bestial about this man. And then, like, when it's revealed that Benoit is a werewolf, I can't even remember specifically where it is. I think it's where he's in a bar. And I thought it was in the bar just before the sex scene when he like insults the bartender who turns into a giant owl and attacks him, and then Benoit is just described as being a giant wolf, but you have no intervening period between Benoit as a normal guy and then he's a wolf wrestling a giant owl, and then they just go back to normal, and it's quite jarring. You don't quite know what's happening. But anyway, we're introduced to Benoit. He's a bikie who's also a werewolf, and he's part of a bikie gang, and they're all werewolves. Their leader's in prison, which will be that actually the bikie leader being in prison is one of the times when something is brought up that is actually meaningful information that like becomes relevant later in the story.
I didn't even think of that, but you're right. Yeah, that probably is actually one of like the 2 or 3 examples of legitimate foreshadowing. Yeah.
Because I'm not sure whether it's inattentional or he's intentionally putting in red herrings. Because he does say in the afterward, you can put in red herrings to keep the reader guessing. But I feel like there are just like so many parts of this book which happen and then have no bearing on anything else that you're just never sure what information you should be paying attention to. Like where should my gaze be directed? But I think I can't even remember the name of the bikie gang leader. Is it Wayne? Anyway, this guy's in prison, and that is actually relevant. Like, this is irrelevant. This is relevant information, and you get into a rap battle with a young urban man named Jason, spelt with a Y, And this is like, I really thought Jason would be a red herring information. Like, he'd just be funny black man who appears, raps. I do want to note that he writes out the raps. There are a lot of bars here that are stone cold classics. And your choices actually at the end of this chapter are actually choosing how you respond to Jason's rap, and each choice is its own rap. I really thought Jason would not appear again. I thought he was just a comic relief character, but he actually becomes significant enough to warrant his own specific ending. The bonus ending is Jason winning and moving to New Orleans.
Can I actually mention the description of Jason here, because I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah.
So they describe Jason as a short black male with a bald head, muscle arms, next cover with tattoos, some of which appear to depict Malcolm X and other indiscernible things. Inside his purple hoodie, give him a wink, speaking in the East Coast variant of an Ebonics dialect.
And if you're wondering if the author phonetically types, like, it writes out how Jason sounds, like, you bet he does.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. I think I'll just continue that quote of yours with Jason. Oh, you know how it is, boy, out here grinding my fella. You know how it is, sup, boy, what you need. Well, what you got? Full anything and everything. Am that fella, all caps. Your boy on the block, man with the hookup, know what I'm saying. You got a couple joints? William mumbled sheepishly. I hook you up, first one's free. Jason winked and then passed him a fairly large cannabis joint. He lit it, took a puff, and passed it around the party. Vanstone listened in to some of the casual conversation. Ayo, these here weed strains these days got all kinds of weird names, like this one, called AK-47 Haze, like fella, all caps. I ain't trying to order a gang up in here. I'm trying to order some regular goddamn weed, man. Fuck. Look. Oh, is this where the Asian woman comes in?
Yes, like a couple
tig old biddies. Jason gave him an aside. Hey, can you put in a word with number one daughter over there? Eric shrugged it off. Hey, help her brother out so I can get me some of that Kung Pao Coochie, Jason smirked. Hush, brother. Examine the fraudulence of her. She belonged to the streets, bro. Blurted out another black male at the party. And it's like, that's just how Jason talks every time he's there. Me stumbling over some of the words there is a reflection of the fact that some of the formatting here is a bit fucked up and it's just a bit hard to interpret, like to whom certain bits of dialogue are ascribed. But yeah, they do talk at length about that Kung Pao Coochie. I'm sure a preoccupation of the authors as well, not just Jason's.
Absolutely.
Also, they keep bringing up Gary Coleman dying.
Oh my god, that bit was so bizarre. Like, there's all kinds of strange stuff in this rap battle. The Gary Coleman dying back and forth. Him describing it as similar to Monkey Island, the rap battle.
Yeah. There are a lot of video game references. I don't think it would surprise anyone who's read this book or who is even acquainted in passing with this book that the author loves gaming. As the repeated use of the gamer word, both from Jason and from, I'm pretty sure William Vanstone drops the gamer word a few times too in his own rap. Look, he probably learned well on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Anyway, the police arrive and just arrest Jason. he just gets immediately arrested. Which is why I thought that this guy wouldn't appear elsewhere in the plot, because he was dealt with side ceremoniously. He appeared with just the most ridiculous written accent, gamer words everywhere, Kung Pao Coochie, then got arrested immediately. So I thought, yeah, this guy was just comic relief black man. He's not coming back. And I was completely wrong about that. That one's on me. We so many of these quotes. I do want to talk about how Benoit is characterized. He's in this chapter has this giant picture of Charles Manson that doesn't fit in the browser window I mentioned earlier. Benoit's with his biker gang. He goes to the House of Roses and Thorns. And so I just quote a section so people can get a feel for what Benoit is like as a man. Benoit continued to walk down the hallway, peeking into one of the rooms where he beheld Boutin, I don't know, it's a French name, who was already stark naked on a bed, handcuffed to the bedpoles and blindfolded. On top of him was a buxom female, sheathed only in a thong, drawing what appeared to be a star or pentagram inside a circle and lipstick on his chest, while muttering some sort of phrase. Omnes ave hadit. Hold your bird and wait a second, thought Benoit. Boutin was actually passed out cold, and at the end of the incantation, the woman fished through Boutin's pants to his wallet. She whispered delicately, "Oh my, look at all this paper. What a fucker, sucker, see you later, masturbator," and quickly withdrew from the room. Benoit reflected for a moment about how he wound up pursuing this greasy, fast-lane, lovin', bon vivant lifestyle. How the fuck did it all wind up like this? He'd been a security guard on his way to police school with a bright future ahead of him. Then the accident happened, horribly disfiguring him when the change began. He was an outcast after that, and he hooked up with these losers, selling drugs and running swag. They were a bunch of bums, but they didn't judge. He no longer felt anything, feeling almost dead inside, except for the occasional bout of anger or lust. As far as characterization goes in the book, this is psychologically complex. Yeah, and then, very soon after, Benoit gets into a fight with the bartender who becomes an owl monster.
Yeah. I found that passage really interesting because it is like there is this sort of noir vibe that creeps in here and there, and I think that's a good example of it, that specific passage.
Yeah, there's that the noir feeling, and then it just takes this left turn into the supernatural, which is, it's not to say that you can't have supernatural noir, but here it feels more like, instead of the two are blended, it's like, well, you've got your noir section, and now we're having the owl monster fighting Benoit, the wolf man, and then you go into now it's like gothic horny vampire, or just Vampire the Masquerade, basically. Like you just go into like Vampire the Masquerade tabletop in the next bit when he meets Michaela, the owner of the brothel and the leader of the local lesbian biker gang, who's a goth babe. I do note that the leader of the lesbian biker gang has sex with men quite often.
And at no point is there any lesbian activity whatsoever?
No. Oh, and actually, Vanstone really wants you to notice that Benoit keeps seeing this symbol, a cross with a sickle on one end. Also odd that, given how many pictures are in this book, he never illustrates this sickle cross. Like, you get bizarre, gigantic pictures of Charles Manson and wiki quote JPEGs from Dostoevsky. Never once does he just illustrate this symbol, which is clearly very important to him because he keeps bringing it up. He also doesn't explain it in the book itself. It's only after in the afterward he's like, yeah, this is an important symbol in the occult, and then I don't think he elaborates beyond that. Anyway, that's right. Yeah, in Michaela's private room again. I thought this was a red herring, but it becomes important in the plot. Michaela, in her private room, just has some absolutely foul paintings of zombies having sex with each other. And Vanstone just keeps telling you, like, okay, these pictures are just the most disturbing pictures you can imagine. Just imagine skeletons having sex. You look at these things and your mind is scarred. I thought this is just... like with Jason, I thought, this is just him having a bit of fun with this image that has really taken him, this time when he sat down to write. But no, I was wrong. Turns out that Vanstone, the character, later in the book, when he is... It's just mentioned offhand. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's dating Michaela and might have known her for a year before the events of this story. I think that's the time course. It was kind of hard to follow, but it was intimated that they had been kind of seeing each other for maybe a year or so. Mm-hmm. But anyway, and Michaela's a beautiful woman, and Vanstone's very taken with her, but he then just like sees pictures of, like, he sees photographs of these paintings of zombies having sex in her room on the internet, and just calls the police on her and just like makes death threats and stuff like that. That's later in the book, but it's another example of something that I really thought was a red herring, but just becomes weirdly important. And he gets imprisoned for it, for making threatening, I think, Facebook posts.
There's a YouTube video on his Philosophy Stoner YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, anyway, Benoit is given 2 kilos of meth to sell, I think, to like just another character that I thought was a red herring, Frisbee, because he has a funny hat, who then appears again. I thought, okay, this guy's not a red herring character, and then he disappears and never shows up again. It's like, reading this book, you don't know what you're meant to be focusing on. Anyway, Benoit loses the drugs. He's shot by a storekeeper because he tries mugging someone in a 7-Eleven or something, just in a convenience store. And then he runs out on the street and some unknown assailant shoots him from a rooftop. I guess it's implied that it's one of Michaela's lesbian biker babes, but it's also not brought up again. Like, Michaela is probably in on it, because I think when she gave Benoit the drugs and said, you've got to sell these to someone, it just says Benoit had a bad feeling about this. It's not really explained why. And so I thought, okay, is he going to get betrayed or something? And that's why I think that the shooter was one of Michaela's lesbian vampire bikers. But I'm not sure.
My impression was that, I was trying to basically take both ends of the pie. She was trying to take out Benoit, take the money, take the drugs, and take it all for herself. But yeah, it's not really relevant going forward.
Yeah. Anyway, and Benoit's upset about this, so he decides to become an alcoholic again. Because this job affected him so much. Oh yeah, and when this chapter starts, it has a Frank Zappa quote, just this big picture of Frank Zappa. Is there relevance here? Like, do you know? I don't know a great deal about Frank Zappa. I just didn't know why. Like, clearly Vanstone likes Frank Zappa. He strikes me as the kind of guy who'd like Frank Zappa. I just don't know why you got a big picture of him, and not like a picture of one of the symbols that he keeps saying, and these are really important symbols. Like, fix these in your mind. The crucifix with one end being a spike.
Yeah, with the symbol.
It's like no, we don't get that. Instead, we get Frank Zappa.
Yeah. Oh, with the symbol, actually, I want to return to that because I just checked up what he says about it here. And he says it connects to this theory, the Purple Dawn theory, which is what the book's named after. And it's the idea that the planet Saturn was our original sun in ancient history. I think the symbol is actually like a modified version of the alchemical symbol for Saturn. Okay. And he talks about this book, The Saturn Death Cult and the Purple Dawn of Creation. I looked into it a bit, but I don't know. It doesn't really add up to much in my head, but other than this idea
No.
Being weird.
I do actually want to read out a sex scene that he has. This was for all those people wanting monster smut. I will be reading. I think it's Morning Glory Milking Farm or something like that. Like that's an upcoming episode. So people who want monster smut, don't worry, we've got you covered. But also we've got a bit of monster smut here too, because it is a sex scene between a wolf man and a vampire lesbian. After about 5 minutes of abusing substances together, I love how vaguely he refers to doing drugs. It's like, I don't care what substances. Like we're sniffing DVD cleaner together. After about 5 minutes of abusing substances together, they began. Benoit threw her onto the bed and clutched her throat, entering her and pounding and rutting her wildly. There was no warmth or tenderness, not a bone of love in either of them. He continued to rut her violently, practically strangling her as he held her throat. Then the changes began. He started to foam at the mouth like a dog with rabies, grunting and growling as he continued to rut her. He really likes this verb, to rut. The hairs on the back of his neck transforming, biting and snarling, his teeth turned to fangs, his eyes bloodshot and glazy like a wolf. Ears pointed. Shout out to J-Man. A sudden protrusion of hair bristling all over his body. He was a wolf now. Wolf is a proper noun for some reason. She didn't scream, but just lay there moaning intensely like a dark, bubbling, puddle-oozing sensuality. Suddenly, two voluptuous women burst in the room and dart gun shots fired. The shots missed their mark. The man-wolf jumped up, claws flashing as he ripped into the neck of one assailant, spraying blood all over the room. He grabbed the dart pistol and fired into the other assailant. Her blood and brains split. What is the dart? Why do you have a dart gun if it's going to blow her head off? I didn't even notice
explosive darts, of course.
After this revealing unseen depths, he grabbed the dart pistol and fired into the other assailant, her blood and brains splattering the wall. The man-wolf Benoit stood naked, blood dripping from his mouth, neither fully man nor wolf, but something primeval. The transformation began to fade, and he started to appear human again. Behind him, Mickey rose up, floating, hair flowing wildly, as if a wind blew through it. Yet there was no wind. Sorry. Her eyes glowed bright red, and her fangs rivaled Benoit's, she hissed. Yeah, I liked that. I also... someone does finally shoot Benoit with a dart gun, and she's described as a banshee slut. There are some astonishing descriptions in this book. Yeah. I just didn't clock the first 2 times I read this that the dart gun just blew someone's head off. Maybe if I'm being generous, it's a dart gun for wolfmen. So they've got just like howitzer-sized darts that if you shoot a normal sized person with them, they'll blow their head off.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it has like silver darts or something like that, which is why it's a dart gun. But I'm trying to imagine a silver dart that would make someone's head explode like that. Okay, so this is good. This is a cliffhanger. So Benoit gets knocked out. New chapter. We're back with Vanstone. So we got a bit of what's going to happen to Benoit. I like that Vanstone doesn't speak French well, and so just the French speakers in Quebec are really rude to him because his French isn't good. This is why I was disappointed that they didn't lean more into the fact that he just doesn't know what's going on a lot of the time because he doesn't understand people. I really wish there were more of that. This choice actually is a weird one. Choice 6. Like, you'll decide to leave your apartment, go for a walk. Where do you go first? You can go a bunch of places. You can go to the bar, to the library and conduct research. You can walk around the downtown core. I think it's just the CBD. Or you can buy some beers and snacks at the local convenience store. If you go to the bar first, you miss a bunch of context that would come in handy later about the vampire babes. If you go to the library first, you see Vanstone dicking around on the internet for a while. You do get some additional context that he was fired from his job teaching English at a local school and is firing an unfair dismissal suit.
A lot of this is just me going to be reading out. He's going to be reading out quotes I like. This is good. There's just so many really good asides in this part that add nothing to the story, but are just really funny. It gives me the sense of, in some adventure games, like just cursed adventure games, how the main character will just be deranged, and the game will kind of acknowledge that the behavior of a normal main character in an adventure game is that of a crazy person, and they'll acknowledge that this person is just like a kleptomaniac who cannot be trusted with anything, who will like feed you methanol to make you pass out in order to ransack your pockets to get a key to something he needs or whatever. I got that impression of Vanstone when I was reading these, that he was that insane adventure game protagonist. And because Monkey Island was directly referenced, I'm wondering if the author of this book also had that in mind. Anyway, his temporary job was at a local épicerie économique. Shout out to Artichoke, sorry for butchering your native language. Or poor man's grocery store, as he referred to it. He was a kitchen assistant and dishwasher. Paid peanuts, the only perk was that they did feed him. The people were interesting too. His immediate supervisor, Lindsay, an older woman, who was an ex-prostitute, amused William in an odd flirting, but not really flirting kind of way, about her old clients and escapades. Something she said stuck with him. All men are simps. Just some are better looking than others, and she said it in a hot French-Canadian accent, in actual French, so it sounded much nicer. As an aside, given how often he just slips in French, I don't know why he didn't just like write that in French. The one time it would have made sense to have actual French. Anyway. Unfortunately, this woman was all fucked up. See, when she quit the whore racket, she had amassed capital to have a significant interest in a horse race track, and when working with the horses was trampled in a tragic accident, scarring and ruining her face. He could tell she was beautiful in her prime. Even still, despite the surgical scarring, his message to her was curt and to the point, requesting unpaid time off. He spent the next hour working on his lawsuit papers and then picked up and went to the convenience store to get some refreshments and ask around. There was information that could not be found in a library. I love those slice of life asides about the older ex-prostitute who would be hot if her face wasn't really fucked up from a tragic horse accident.
The way these things are written, like it does feel like this is just a person he met one time, because like it's so specific and strange, like the circumstances.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the bits of this book I really do like tend to be those bizarre, oddly specific asides. The asides about Canada are very funny, especially in like, in the context of strange and very stiff characters. I don't know if this is how French Canadians are. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that all French Canadians are like this. But I also want to quote this when he walks into a convenience store.
Oh.
He snored. Okay, they're talking about the clerk in the convenience store. He snored and snorted loudly. Vanstone walked towards the counter, and it awoke the sleeping beastly man. Snort. The old man cleared the phlegm in his throat. Humbuggery. Why? Why do you disturb me? Leave me, boy, to my sleep and masturbation. Okay, exclaimed Vanstone. William spoke and paused. I was just splorin' and got a few questions if you don't mind. Nice eye patch, by the way. The old man grabbed a bottle of scotch from a nearby shelf and chugged it straight from the bottle while he spoke. William was still not used to the fact that in Quebec, alcohol was sold everywhere, even in convenience stores, just like their American neighbours. In Ontario and everywhere else in Canada, alcohol was controlled by the provincial level and only sold at official licensed stores, which his relatives referred to as the communist liquor store system. He agreed with that system. The taxes were used to pay for social services. I just love things like these asides about Canadian alcohol politics in various parts of the country. These bits are a delight. These are the bits that make the book really fun. And like I said, this is my image of French Canada, and nobody claiming things like I live there or I am French Canadian can dissuade me. Like this is what it's like. This is what all of you are like. I'm not just cherry picking. I mean, to an extent, cherry picking in that I've selected particularly funny bits, but this is not unrepresentative. These kind of asides are very common. There's a lot of the book is just this kind of stuff, like talking about the 50-year-old ex-prostitute who'd be smoking hot if a horse hadn't grievously injured her face, or the convenience store clerk who was masturbating behind the counter and disturbed by a customer. It just gives it gives this overall atmosphere of oddness that is good, that I like. The problem is like the story around that though just doesn't gel. It's the location is a character. Quebec is the main character in this book.
That was another authentic little bit that I liked, is the fact when he talks about the dépanneur, which is the convenience store, right? I'm sure I also butchered the pronunciation, but that is a real thing, like in Quebec, and they are very popular. And like the bodegas in New York, they're like this very sort of iconic cultural thing where they're always super grimy in my experience. So it feels like an appropriate place for Mr. Vanstone to be going.
And he also gets mugged. He gets mugged just outside. And
yep.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so I think Vanstone just starts talking to the shop owner about all the internet research he's been doing. And yeah, that's right. This is a bit where at first I picked one of the choices, I think in choice 6, that didn't give me the context of this conversation. And so like Vanstone just suddenly is talking about a vegan store named Coven that he's been researching online. I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You have to select specifically, you go to the library and do research option in choice 6. Otherwise, this part won't make sense. And it'll be even more contextless than a lot of stuff in the book. And then yeah, the convenience store clerk just starts talking about how hot Michaela is. And given things that are said later in the book, I have to assume at this point Vanstone not only knows Michaela, even though at this point he's acting like he doesn't, but he's known her for like a year, has dated one of Michaela's friends, has sold his dead mum's jewellery to pay for one of Michaela's friend's sons who is autistic, because Vanstone is also autistic and sees himself in that boy. And then then Michaela's friend broke up with him, and he's not sure why. So he's been getting closer to Michaela. And anyway, all of this has happened over the past year, but he's also pretending like he's been doing internet research on Michaela and her holdings, and is acting like he doesn't know her. So I was really confused about his particular relationship to Michaela and how long he's known her in this book, because it's quite hard to follow. I do like, though, that halfway through the book, it's like, yes, we know that Vanstone acts like he's autistic, and he is actually diagnosed as autistic. He's just autistic.
Yes. Well, one thing I also want to mention here with the convenience store guy is, I swear he switches to like a Jason line at one point during his dialogue. He just starts talking like him. He starts talking like Jason, where he says, "Yes, sir, my boy. They some rattlesnakes. They some vipers. They some tarantulas. They be all caps deep pit sharks." He also says he revealed his Quebecer accent like this wasn't there the whole time.
I also really love... Oh, choice 7. I just came across my notes. It's like how you can have William just kill someone and it's never mentioned again. He just murders someone in the street. So he steps outside the convenience store and someone pulls a knife out and attempts to rob him. And so, choice A, pull out your own knife and prepare for battle, ! And that's what I chose because I had just given William Vanstone, I thought something goofy would happen because there's so much goofy humor. And no, if you pick that, he pulls out a knife that just kills this man and then runs home. And it's never mentioned again. He just murders someone, leaves his body in the street. When he's running home, he's like, oh, this might catch up with me. Just stabbing someone in the neck on the street. And it doesn't. He's wrong. It just... We were talking about red herrings. This is a red herring. Nothing comes of him killing someone and leaving him to bleed out in the street outside a convenience store.
Oh my gosh.
If you are... then they're just kind of like quibbles. Because I think he links to the wrong page with two of these. It's option C, run like a bitch. If you run like a bitch, instead William tries to reason with this man who just mumbles, winter is coming, Jorg Mundsgander, which is which makes me wonder if this man is Father Time or has something to do with Father Time, because, spoiler, at the very end of the book, William meets Father Time. Or it's one of the options. He can meet Father Time, who talks about how winter's coming, Jorg Mundsgander. Because that word, Jorg Mundsgander, is in the crossword and the word finder, it's probably very significant. I didn't look up what it meant.
It's the world serpent, right? And I think it's explicitly being connected with the idea of Ouroboros.
Right. That would make sense with the time loop. Yep.
Yeah.
And if you select D, try to reason with the man, you run like a bitch. So I think C and D are switched around. But I'm most interested in A, where William just kills someone, and it's never mentioned again. And he's never shown the inclination to just stab someone in the neck. It's also it's not mentioned why is William walking around with a knife? He keeps saying, yeah, this is a really bad part of town, this is a bad neighborhood, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe Quebec's way more dangerous than I thought it was. And this is just something that happens. You go to the convenience store and murder someone. And
there are vampires and werewolves running around, so...
Yeah, there are. I do like this too. So this is a slice of life. I mean, he gets home. It's like, you return home tired. What do you do to relax? By return home tired, you've just murdered someone and left him lying in the street, and you think the police are going to pick you up. So you need to relax. A bunch of different options. I do really like one option. He's watching TV, and a part of it, there's a transcript of an interview with Richard Kuklinski. He's a mob hitman, the Iceman. He killed, I don't know how many people, a ton of people. You can also read books. He reads Programmed to Kill by Dave McGowan, which does not surprise me one bit. This is just William Vanstone to a T. On the if you decide to go on the internet, he just reads about satanic cults. If you get stoned, he has funny dreams. No, that's right. He has a dream about working in the morgue, and he just talks to a corpse. Yeah. Oh, now we're back to Benoit. He and his associates are detained by the lesbian vampires. Benoit's... Oh, this is another red herring. So Benoit's associate, Jean Boudin, has caught the new plague, which hasn't been mentioned thus far and is just never mentioned again. As far as science could discern, it was not a disease like a virus. Once a person had endured their breaking point of life pain, existing in the agony of being, enduring a lifetime of futility and pain, they contracted it before death. Baudin showed the signs of the illness, sprouting pig-like ears, squealing and snorting like a pig, with barely intelligible squeals sounding like a screeching wild yell of, "I'm tired of life," repeatedly. Squealing this, among other profane utterances, face contorting, spastic movement of limbs flailing in seizure. That hideous pig squeal of "tired of life," mlep, mlep. On and on it went. I do want to note that like all everything in quotation marks here is all caps. Anyway, this entire scene just boils down to Michaela makes Benoit and the boys an offer they can't refuse. They've got one last score. They have to steal stuff from the local cathedral. And it's never quite clear what the stuff is that they're stealing. At the end of the book, it's mentioned, there are jewels, there's a ton of cash. It's said to be worth 10 million shekels in the Jason ending. So we put a number on it. I think in another ending, it's said to be $10 million. Like, I don't know what the exchange rate of shekel to, like, we'll assume Canadian dollars is, but like that actually could be a pretty big spread in terms of how much money they're getting.
I think he's just being cute with the shekels. He just means $10 million.
No, I think he's like, no, I want to convert this to the currency they use in Israel, and I'll accept no other currency. Yeah. Anyway, so they've got to break the prison, the motorbike gang leader out of prison. So they're putting together a team. Yeah, Wayne Kelly Duchamp is their club president. And this bit is just confusing. So yeah, I mean, I kind of already talked about it. Like Vanstone's relationship to Mickey, how it's probably a year old, and how he has dated one of Mickey's friends, Portia, who's presumably also a lesbian vampire, who has a son, an autistic son. And yeah, Vanstone sells his dead mum's jewels so that this autistic son can have money. And it's just so unclear whether Vanstone has known Mickey or Michaela for a year, which would make the most sense in terms of what is said, or if he's just met her, which would make the most sense in terms of how they're talking to each other. I do want to read out. This is I've got a quote here that is just vaped vigorously. Like Vanstone is doing internet research on Michaela, ripping his vape. I quote, "What he found shocked him to the core. There were pictures of people having sex with dead bodies, artwork depicting human decay, grotesque forms, a cesspool of putrescence, vile images like acid at his core. He fumed with rage and vaped vigorously on his vape pen, drinking a bottle of licorice alcohol and ingesting some marijuana edibles." This guy's a fucking animal. It's just like imagining an actual human being behaving like this. It's like a woman you've known for a year. You're stalking on social media. He's 26 and like it sounds like he's got a bunch of problems in his life. So I don't judge. But he just sees artwork of hers that he does not approve of. So he's just like trying to suck a hole in his vape pen. Smashes down a liter of ouzo, eating edibles, and then recording himself ranting and uploading it to YouTube. I quote. "William was high as a motherfucker. Later on, he had no recollection of these events. He ran a YouTube vlog for fun on the internet. Philosopher Stoner 666. He was nerd." No article there. No definite or indefinite article. He was nerd, troll, and did emotional tampon-style videos about random subjects, like his personal diary. He began to rant and rave, making nasty remarks about Mickey and her meth-head boyfriend, Kevin. He was threatening waving a knife and being loopy. Presumably, this is the knife that he's already murdered someone with. No death threats were made, and the video was never taken down by YouTube. It was concerning and showing that Vanstone was becoming unhinged. Obviously, it was still concerning, and prompted that social circle to make some phone calls. Anyway, he gets arrested for this video. I like that the author is defending Vanstone, saying like he didn't violate YouTube's terms of service. So why is he getting arrested? If it's good enough for YouTube, it should be good enough for the police department of whatever city he's in.
This feels like the transcript from like his defense, honestly. What it's written there. I also wanted to say,
it's not mentioned here specifically, but it is worth bearing in mind that he's also filing an unfair dismissal suit against the school that used to employ him at the same time. He's got a bunch of legal woes. He's probably not helping his case actually with that unfair dismissal suit.
No. I was also going to say, like, there's a bit of, like, when he's talking about this relationship with Portia and stuff, there's a bit of, like, he's on his incel arc to some extent. Like, he describes female hypergamy in action and stuff like that. I forgot about
that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. And he starts explaining it's like, this is what it means. I'm trying to help you guys. Tell you how it is. One of the things I do like about these types of books is if you're reading literature that's gone through the disfiguring process of having an editor, these sort of asides, like things that are just preoccupations of the authors, will get cut out by an editor going, no, okay, you probably don't need to talk about aspects of red pillism. But without that longhousing in the form of an editor, you can keep it. It was really good of you to bring that up. I just totally forgotten about that. I just screened that bit out.
I mean, that's the whole book, is like there's so many of these little asides, like the new plague thing. I totally forgot about that because it's just like every couple of paragraphs there's something truly bizarre that just kind of pops out. Yeah. Anyway, he just he wakes up, just gets arrested for making these threats online. I just like, oh, that's right. This is one of the bits where it gets a bit confusing because there's the setup for the prison break, and at certain points, it sounds like Vanstone is with them because I think they're listening to, like, he specifies that these bikers are listening to metal. And just given this entire book, I'm almost certain that the author also listens to metal because this is the sort of thing made by someone who is convinced themselves that they like the sound of death metal. And I say this as someone who does belong to that category of people, but this is music by someone who likes death metal. And Vanstone comments on it's like, yeah, this is great, and throws up devil horns. But he's in prison at the time that this happens. And I know this because he's broken out of prison by these people, and they take him out. Benoit takes him out of prison because he mentions that he's good with computers, and Benoit's like, all right, you can be our hacker for this heist because you're good with the computers. That bit really threw me. I reread that paragraph over and over again, and I think it's just a mistake because I can't square it. Like where Vanstone is in space and time. Yeah, this is like pretty much from here on out, the book gets incredibly confusing and muddled. Yeah. I would say pretty much until the end.
I also do want to note that so this isn't the setup for the prison break. At a few points prior to this, a few points prior to the actual prison break, I was under the impression that Vanstone is being held in a police station. So it's not like a Supermax facility or anything. Like it's a police station. He's just in one of the holding cells because, he went buck wild on YouTube and said some things he shouldn't have said when he was tired and emotional, and he's very sorry now. And then Wayne, the super duper bikie leader, is in mega prison. And there's a description of mega prison. How about this? So I quote: "The assembled collective stroke and polish their guns. No, not that, you pervert. Real weapons. Malcolm stroked his rifle. Isn't she beautiful? Say belle la? Something in French. It's time for the bust out. Prison break. This is a maximum security facility known as Aralyn, or the Cube, named for the giant black squared cubes forming 8 separate self-contained housing blocks that made a snake like..." Sorry, he just keeps changing tense. "That made a snake like spiral from aerial view, an impenetrable bastion for evildoers, that each cube all led to deadly trap rooms. I know which movie you've just watched, mate. A seemingly infinite amount of pathways and exits forming a literal labyrinth. A citadel of guards, towers, guns, fencing, and menacing aura." So I assumed this turbo prison and just the police station that Vanstone was in are different. In the prison break, you learn that these are the same place. You learn that just the police, and so it's said when they're performing the prison break, it's just like the local police station. So the local police station is this mega cube prison with trap rooms and stuff.
So looking back at it now, they do mention him. It's very confusingly written, but they do mention him being escorted from place to place.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's like they say he was escorted from the jail cell to the shrink office to the lawyer phone room. So I guess at some point he gets taken from, he from his holding cell to this prison for short-term detainment for making death threats.
Taking a really firm line on online harassment, and he never violated YouTube's terms of service. That video is still up, and he's in mega prison for it. I did like this actually. Choice 10. These just felt like RPG skill checks. You have to choose how you're going to approach breaking Wayne out of prison. I like this. Choice A is what I chose the first time because it felt the most ridiculous. A, send a message to the inmates, tell them to prepare by using soup from the kitchen to have the salt content from soup corrode the rusty iron and disintegrate the locks and other traps. Over a 2-week time span, use sneak thievery to steal the keys from the guard. Turn to page 21. That's the best one. Like, other ones are like, use a helicopter to shoot your way in. There's one about use a combo of methods to make a raid on the armory and courtyard. A bunch of stuff like that. But the soup one in my head is canon. It's the it's the most wacky.
I don't think you could dissolve a lock in 2 weeks with salt erosion, but you might need a couple of years. But
do you think the guards eventually would notice? It's like, why is there soup everywhere? Like, why is there soup on every single bar in the prison? Yeah, it's just like all of the cube traps are disabled with soup.
Just pouring on like the spike pit, pouring soup in the spike pit.
Just like blunt all the spikes with soup. And and I also do like that we get Jason back. They bust Wayne out of prison and take with them Vanstone when he says that he's good with computers, and they also just take Jason. Jason just appears during the prison break, being really Jason, and they're like, "Oh, we'll take you along." There is actually a bit where Jason says that he's never killed anyone, and he's a nice guy deep down, which made Jason's ending even more jarring when he just turns on everyone and kills everyone, takes everything for himself. and moves. I think he shacks up with some voodoo priestess in Louisiana. Anyway, that's for later when we talk about the endings. Anyway, yeah, now they're assembling a crew for the jewel heist, and they've got Jaden. Here we go. Well, I remember when you were bringing up the lack of existentialism. I've got some quotes here where they just hit you in the face with it. Vanstone was afraid and spoke sheepishly. I also want to note that's like Vanstone is not a hardened criminal. Like he's dealt drugs before, and I guess he's murdered someone, so he's got that on Jason. But he's now taking part in the heist. Vanstone was afraid and spoke sheepishly. Are we even going to survive this, man? I mean, we got a shitty plan, and I'm on the run from the cops now. And Wayne growled, "Idiot. Life leaves no survivors. You've had a soft life in trendy city like Toronto. Yuck. And while being insulated from reality, it appears your own personal comfort has defeated you." William gulped and paused for a moment, thinking of what to say next. So that means it's every man for himself on the exit, and we basically all on our own? Sighed Vanstone. Jason snorted. You better believe that in this world, you on your own, son. Well, I would rather know the ugly truth as opposed to a sweet lie, Jason nodded. And yeah, that bit threw me. I wonder whether it was meant to be like Vanstone nodded instead of just like Jason responding to his own East Coast ebonics as we learnt when he was introduced.
I think I would rather know the ugly truth line is supposed to be Vanstone saying it. Yeah. There's just no indication of that.
Well, not only it's like it. Oh, you mean it should be like Vanstone speaks and then it's like Jason nodded, and that's okay. So I mean, for people who aren't reading this, the Jason nodded is right after the I would rather know the ugly truth as opposed to a sweet lie, indicating that the speech is attributed to Jason. But maybe Jason's like really feeling what Vanstone's saying when he's taking his existentialist turn. I do like this too. There's more philosophy. William then added, This plan is a guideline. We can't treat this like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where the more you look into something, the less you really know. So, let's be ready. I'm afraid, but I'm condemned anyway, so let's get to it. I can't remember specifically what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle...
That's
isn't it about
observation.
The more you know about the precise position of, say, an electron, the less you can know about its spin, its particular momentum and angle of movement and so on.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess the plan is not. The plan's not like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So. Wait, actually, no. What does this mean? So if the plan's not if the plan's not like it, then does that mean you can know everything in the plan?
I think he probably means it's like, but he says we can't treat it like. I don't know if he even. This is
more confusing than I initially. Yeah.
Okay. No, I get it. He's saying you can't treat it like that in the sense that you shouldn't try to determine the specific path and the likelihood of outcomes. You should just go into it guns blazing, I guess, and hope just for the best. Just like Heisenberg did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And then, actually, back to what I was saying before about how I bet this guy is a metal fan. When Michaela is performing a Wiccan ritual, one of her fellow vampires is named Euronymous.
Yes.
So this guy definitely listens to black metal, which is one of the nerdiest genres of music you could possibly listen to. So I guess it does check out. I also just want to reinforce that these plans, I guess. Oh wait, actually, I didn't even think of this. At no point is it mentioned that Jason knows French because he's from the East Coast, and it's never mentioned that he's speaking French. So does that mean he has no idea what's going on? Because it's said that Vanstone is having a bit of a hard time because he doesn't speak French that well. Does that mean Jason just has no clue what's happening? Like they just give him a gun and say something in a language that is like uninterpretable to him.
I mean,
assault a cathedral.
Yeah. My personal interpretation is they all speak in really broken English the entire time.
Yeah. Including the native French speakers speaking among themselves in really broken English as well.
Yes, exactly.
I also like it's like there's a tendency to just bizarre nonchalance in a number of these books that you get here. Like this. William was in a dreadful state. It was nightfall. Benoit and another crept around and hid in the bushes. Then from the bushes they disappeared and out ran two terrifyingly fierce wolves, mouths foaming, running toward the church. What in the actual fuck? That was trippy. All the liquor, dope, mushrooms, and sentimental delusions really were getting to Vanstone, and he needed to get to a recovery program and sort himself out, he thought. Because I guess he's never seen them turn into wolf people. And like that was his response. I was like, oh, that's trippy, isn't it? Gee, that's funny. Yeah. Anyway, it's the assault can go in a few different ways. So this is where your choices really do matter. You have various outcomes. Vanstone can meet Father Time and go back to chapter 1, and just the cycle starts again. That's apparently the canon ending. Benoit can win. Benoit and the Wolf Boys can win. And Benoit just kills the rest of his bike gang and leaves with all the money. If that happens, which is I guess, and I do like actually with the Benoit ending. It opens with an Otto von Bismarck quote. Just a huge picture of Otto von Bismarck. Life is like being at the dentist. You always think the worst is still to come, and yet it is over already. Like it's a very good quote. Not disputing that. It's just I didn't expect to be getting Bismarck quotes in a work like this. I do like that actually. Like Benoit flees with the rest of the gang. I should actually say sort of a bit of what happens in the final assault. It is a bit confusing. Michaela is performing some sort of ritual. The words to which I actually knew because of there's an Electric Wizard song called Echo Echo Azarak.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I love Electric Wizard. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't even know I would get that.
So I recognize the words to it because it's from. I'm assuming it's like in reality it was originally from the Electric Wizard song, and Wiccans just decided to take the heaviest band in the universe as scripture. Anyway, it's and it's a bit confusing what happens. There's some garden gnome that Vanstone saw in the cathedral when he was just walking around there once that comes to life. It's not very prominent in the Benoit ending. It's more prominent in the Michaela ending. I'll put that to the side for now. I do like in the Benoit ending. So he kills the rest of the gang, takes everything for himself, flees the country with Eric, the Mensa certified genius, who has relatives, I think, in South America who are the descendants of Nazis. His former dealer and partner, Eric O'Reilly, and you'll note O'Reilly is the classic German surname. Eric, that's how you know he's got Nazi roots from Germany. Eric O'Reilly was of unusual genesis. He remembered in their youth when they met in high school, he showed Benoit his German passport with stamps and all, a hidden family legacy of his. It all meant his grandparents were Nazis, and therefore as well, Eric had contacts with the World War II German expat community in Argentina and Venezuela. So he would go there on the lam, party, chill on the beach, and relax for a while. Then use the excess cash to run guns from Rotterdam to South America. Just like the old days with Malcolm. I like that bit of filling out Eric O'Reilly's backstory.
One line of dialogue.
Yeah. And then Benoit just remembers being in China with an Australian. I just don't know what this is meant to add. Besides, I mean, obvious delight for me. Because you bet he spells out the Australian accent. When Chris, the Australian living in China, who, let me tell you, he's a big fan of Chinese women. Rates them very highly. I don't know why he was reminiscing about his time in China with Chris, the Australian, but it went on for quite a while. I just want to quote. On the train, his then friend Chris, an Australian national who spoke fluent Chinese, said in his low-class Australian English accent, "You Canadians, so polite and friendly, except when you're dividing up the marijuana. Eh, mate? You wanker cunts." Benoit, at the time, nearly spit his coffee out, being highly awkward and inappropriate himself. It's like, I'm sorry, it's like, after all the shit Benoit has said and done, it's like, that's what bothers him. Some guy calling him a cunt. It's like, that really
for Benoit.
rumbles him, yeah. Found this a new level at the time. There was something about basically no one being able to understand you in a foreign country that enabled an unchanged social filter to decay and deform. Benoit then said, smiling, "Yes, more polite than you people from a nation of penal convicts. I just want to be sure we divide it up 50-50. This shit is risky." Well, fuck you, mate. It is so. These slant-eyed bastards don't play around very nice when you don't know the lingo and how to play the fucking game, mate. And then Chris the Australian and Benoit watch a, I quote, greasy belly dancer and get drunk on Tsingtaos. It's just like, I don't really get large parts of this. And anyway, it's like the ending is I thought the very ending of this particular epilogue would be like an American Psycho, like a nihilistic monologue. You know, this has all been for nothing, or whatever the exact last words of American Psycho were. It felt like it was going in that direction because Benoit's he's on a train. Oh, and he's on a train, which is why he's thinking about another time he was on a train with his mate Chris in China. Whatever, fine. And then he's feeling bad. Then he starts feeling better because he remembers he has $10 million. And then the train conductor just starts laughing. And then the train conductor's a devil. And then the train crashes. And like that's the ending. That's the Benoit ending. The Vanstone ending is there's a disquisition on Aleister Crowley to explain why Vanstone actually survives. Like, one's soul can be absorbed upon the moment of one's death because Michaela sucks his neck and he wakes up in a land beyond time. He sees the obelisk, and the Father Time, I think, is Scottish.
Yes.
I think. And he writes out the Scottish accent. And Father Time tells him that winter's coming and talks about Ouroboros in a Scottish accent. And the Michaela ending's good. Gary the Garden Gnome has been summoned. He breaks the time loop. Michaela loses her vampiric powers. And all the STIs that she's contracted during her work at the brothel suddenly appear. Gary the Garden Gnome, who is a demon, smiles and says that she's no longer useful, and she kills herself. and then the best ending, the wild card epilogue. Jason wins. Jason escapes with all the loot. Goes to Louisiana. Is visited by Marie Laveau, the voodoo practitioner. Jason feels the approach of Father Time, and like the entire time, Jason is being just like the height of 90s funny black man. And it turns into, like, you remember in GTA Vice City, all of those the missions where you had to shoot Haitians.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, all those missions. This feels like that. Jason feels you approach a father time, and Marie Laveau says that she'll protect him if he protects her Haitians from Cubans. And he drinks a potion from her that turns him into a werewolf. And like that's the ending. It's a wild ride. It's a real roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then it's like once you've gotten through his story, you get to the really fun part, which is his it's just like explain over the entire story. I mean, I've just got a huge block of text. I don't know if it's worth reading all of it, but it is funny, like reading his particular personal philosophy as to why he wrote this, because it's not enough to write such a story, because you just find these sort of stories pleasant, or you like them. This narrative is necessary because we are all somehow inherently evil, and I want to watch violence and debauchery. For many seasons I held to this worldview. I held to a rational materialism, atheism, agnosticism, with an overlap of pessimism. Until recently, I encountered nothing to change the dark road I was heading down psychologically. I discovered the work of a disaffected Catholic priest from Scandinavia named Hans Urs von Balthasar. He argues the concept called the doctrine of dare we hope, that we are not inherently evil or good, but instead controlled by determinism. He talks about determinism not negating personal responsibility. There is a very memorable line: "We are like a rabid, violent dog with rabies." Anyway, it's he's talking a lot about inversion. You know, the unity of opposites. You know, to remove one opposite pole of another would be to negate the entire system. I'm not actually entirely sure how this relates to the rest of the work beyond him having it here in the epilogue. And by virtue of it existing in the epilogue, we're meant to read back into the preceding work, the presence of these ideas. I have trouble seeing a lot of these ideas in Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's well integrated, but I can kind of see, you know, having had some time to sit with it and thinking about it, I can see how at least the determinism aspect obviously calls in with the time loop. But yeah, I guess there is also too, when you read the endings, there is this aspect they can't go back to their childhood, and they talk about the things that influenced them, like Jason, he talks about his grandparents. So I guess I can at least see this aspect of sort of being trapped by one's circumstances. I don't think it's well done, but it's there. I also want to mention with Hans Urs von Balthasar, it's kind of a weird connection. He was actually quite a notable theologian, and he was going to be a cardinal before he passed. And speaking of tarot, he wrote the foreword for a book I would highly recommend, Meditations on the Tarot, which Brad Kelly taught me about. And
he's told me about that one too, because I asked for a tarot reading list.
Yeah, and the foreword to that book and the afterword is written by Hans Urs von Balthasar. So just kind of cool.
That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. I actually don't know how much more I have to say about this book. We're past the 2 hour mark. Actually, I'm shocked that we've got this much out of it. I mean, what are your final thoughts on this? And then we can then move on to, would you recommend this book to people, and if so, to whom?
Yeah,
because I mean, my thoughts are it's got a lot of parts that I like in the way that I genuinely do like outsider art, at least in terms of literature, particularly outsider genre fiction. There's something very special about it. Unfortunately, though, as with much outsider genre fiction, it's sort of the work is less than the sum of its parts, because there are, like we've brought up, some of the parts of just the bizarre asides are great. I really, really enjoy them. But it never gels into anything cohesive. Which means that, like, in terms of recommendations, would I recommend this to someone who likes this type of genre fiction? No. It would have to be someone who specifically likes, like, these sorts of self-published works. And those people do exist. And I imagine a number of them actually do listen to this show, because we covered a number of those books. And, like, if you're one of those people, then yeah, pick this up, because it is... like it's a kind of moon people book, but about not cosmic horror. It's sort of like weird fiction. We'll just say it's like outsider art, weird fiction. If you're someone who loves Lovecraft, you probably will have a harder time with this.
Yeah.
I guess though, because it's not just the book, like it's not just the choose your own adventure book. It is also everything around it. It's the word finder, it's the crossword, it's the afterword where he just like honestly talks about the things he doesn't think he did well. It's the writing tips. All that too really adds to it. Like, this is not just a book. There's more to it than that. And the tarot deck, that he made in response to this is really excellent, because I also did read I read somewhere on the Suncross website that Vanstone was considering making a tarot deck based on Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn if there was enough interest, and I was so pleased to see that he had actually released not one, not two, but 3 tarot decks, so there was obviously enough interest, so I'm pleased about that. What about you, though? Like, what are your thoughts on this in general? Would you recommend it? And to whom? To whom would you recommend it? It's probably a more interesting question than, would you recommend it? Yes, no?
Yes. I think I come out in a similar place. Having this conversation, I've come to actually appreciate the story a lot more. I think this is one where it's more enjoyable once you've kind of let the sort of tedium of reading the story in places fade away, the gold kind of stays behind, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And yeah, I think the thing I appreciated the most was the book would almost be better without a plot. I think the wanderings and the random thoughts are quite enjoyable to go through. But yeah, in terms of who I'd recommend it to, definitely not a general audience or even a genre fiction audience. I would recommend it probably to people who are interested in outsider art, people who are interested in sort of very distinct self-published works, and sort of these works where the sort of autobiography and writing blend together in interesting ways that reveal things about the author, I guess, and maybe just people in general to some extent, or anyone who likes weird internet things, or anyone from my city who wants to know more about a local legend.
Yeah. I should actually, it's important to note that this book is free. You can get it from the Suncross Publications website. It doesn't cost anything. Which, I mean, honestly, the type of, I don't know how many people would be thinking I would read Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, but, the price is deterring me. But if that is you, it is free. It's not going to cost you anything. Apart from anything else, I do recommend checking out the Suncross website. I'll put the link in the show notes, because it is, like we said at the top of the episode, it's an excellent website. It's I just love these sorts of hustling really hard tiny publishers on weird topics who are just shamelessly trying to get your money. I love that. Anyway,
they do update the website.
I really recommend this website.
Yeah. They've done a few updates. In fact, the book wasn't always free, and it wasn't always a choose your own adventure. There was an earlier version that was linear, And I think it was like $10 or something. And he had the offer to give it to you for free if you wrote a review of your thoughts.
Look, sending out reader copies in return for a review is a pretty common practice. So, shout out to him for doing that. Making it into a choose your own adventure, whether the numerology adds up or not, is, I guess, actually that's thematically interesting if we're thinking about the time loop, determinism, the lack of free will. That does make thematic sense that, yes, you are choosing in a sense between one of 2 to 4 options, yet they all lead to more or less the same place. If that was what he was going for, then I think that actually works. But yeah, I'm shocked that we have 2.25 hours about Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn. Do you have anything else to add, or should we wrap up?
No, I'm good. I think we covered this quite well.
Yeah. Massive thanks for suggesting this book and for coming on. For anyone listening, if you have something that you would like to recommend and you want to come on the show and talk about, write in. You can email us, you can contact us on Discord, just direct message on X or on Substack, or there's probably somewhere else. Look, all of these things are also in the show notes, various ways to contact us. If you're interested in doing this kind of thing, definitely open to it. I really like doing episodes like this on something that is bizarre, and particularly when something is bizarre and obviously a real work of passion, like this book. So yeah, huge thanks to Emshen for coming on for this one, and
really
for everyone
appreciate you
listening. Yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.